I think this may be the east gate of the old town. This apparently is part of the old wall. The gate is right to my left. These are those same buildings. Now we're on the left side of the wall. I mean the left side of the gate. And it still looks like this would be perhaps even another gate, or at least an entrance into something other than just this shop. So let's see what's a little bit beyond here in the rain. Here is the round tower that was alluded to with regard to the Icon Museum. So presumably we're standing near part of an old wall, of the old wall around the town. And here in the corner spot, you might think, is this remains of a round tower. And barricaded off there, a arched hallway into the fortress itself. There's always a certain amount of nostalgia for me standing in the rain next to a Roman monument, because it reminds me of that, for me, a very, well, I hate to say profound, but let's say very intellectually interesting moment standing at the gravesite, not the gravesite, but the cremation site of Julius Caesar in the Forum in Rome. Notice again the design of that wall. Several layers of cemented square building stone, and then rock, and then more stone, and then rock, etc. Now we're looking back up into the East Gate, and it's just to the left of that ivy is where the round tower is. I think we'll walk up that way. This is also the Museum of Ethnographic. I wonder what got these folks into French. This is a very interesting view of this beautiful, very pretty grounds. Look how that stone area is tipping that building off away from the property. Wouldn't it be interesting if the Ethnographic Museum is closed on a busy traffic day, just when everybody wants to really get into ethnography, even if only to escape the... It's a symmetrical design house, meaning if you take the axis from the front door right to the back, everything on either side is the same. So that's where the symmetry is. But notice the beautiful ceiling. All of wood. Unlike the Zalov house that we looked at, this one reflects a profound concern for imaginative style in the designer, and by default the builder, I mean the owner. But just notice the three doorways here opening up into the stairway, but then two doorways on either, a doorway on either side for the rooms, all very neatly designed. And yet here the symmetry on the other side is maintained, but with two less doors. I assumed that whether this was original painting, but something similar to it. First, in this room, we'll look at, and this is the rear left room as we came in, orientation. But notice the designed ceiling here. windows are straightforward, except for the detail above the windows. But notice this beautiful carving of cabinets, shelving, and must have been an elegant painting in there. Look at the pretty design work here. Not only the raised panel here, but then raised a little bit, or at least incised right there. And then all of this detailed work, not carved but inlaid. And here perhaps would have been a bathroom, I don't know. But adjoining to this room. Now we'll focus on the ethnic museum part of this room. Here, of course, bees, nests, in other words, not nests, but the things a bee man uses to harbor his bees. Plow for cutting, so you would fill that and then cut with that knife. The thing that these things always reflect that intrigues me is the amount of sweat and toil that each has as its history. Imagine the man and the wife on this plow. Imagine who went out and searched for that piece of wood and then found it and then sculpted it with this piece vertical for support and that hole there to hold it. The man could see the design in his plow as he chose the wood. Like Michelangelo, seeing the sculpture inside the block of stone before he began to cut. Ah, this is interesting. We're seeing for the first time that connection between the still and the barrel. But this is funny, it appears to come out. It does. Maybe this barrel was filled with water up to there, causing whatever was coming down here to condense a little bit faster into here, where a pail might have been. It's always fascinating to try and see the development of technology, or where an idea was unique in the design of something this old. This idea, for example, we know what it is. It's a butter churn. In its various forms, it's always working the same. But that element before in the still might be different. This is a grape crusher. Makes sense. But I bet you that design was used for other things also. Some kind of a still. This is a planting stick for vines. I'm guessing that that's a piece of metal rod there that goes down through the center. And that maybe a man put it to the ground and then stepped on it with his weight. Here an innovation, a wheel to take some of the load directly off the animal. This is a threshing board. Now it's interesting to imagine in our day how it would be used. It looks like these are filled with pieces of sharp stone. Yes, they are. And it looks like that's the prow of a boat. So probably this thing was laid down on the floor on top of piles and piles of grain. And then this thing was run over it, maybe with some weights on the back. This is a water wheel for grinding either grain or for doing something with oil. But there you can see where water would have rushed through there, hitting that turbine device, if you will. Then it would have turned a axle, which would have turned that stone. And then this would be used as a hopper for dropping the grain or whatever they were using down through there. And perhaps it was grain. Here we have a scale. Guess where the night watchman sleeps. Not just for this water wheel, but here. Notice here that the varied natural conditions made it possible to grow a number, in other words, a variety of high-quality vine types. Here are tools for maintaining the vines, all the way from what looks like a near modern, and this one a kind of a hatchet sigh, and then here almost a handmade device, and here a similar one, only saw-like. But imagine the labor, the hours, the sweat, the weather, the conditions of politics and the family of the man or men or women who used that particular tool. Someday we have to get the history to speak.